Hello everyone, I'm going to try this again. I just recorded an entire video and it deleted itself and told me to reconnect, which I can't tell you how much joy it brings me to do that again. So, it's late here and I am hopefully going to do just as good a job, but I may not, but here it goes. So I am talking about uh, last week's discussion that was recently finished on in a nutshell, what's the gospel? How do you summarize it? In what ways have you seen real life redemption, reconciliation, or forgiveness as a result of Christ's work? And do you believe your salvation can be lost? So, real quickly, I posted quite a few clips, 4 in total, I guess, over the course of the week, and interacted a little bit with you guys. And the point of that was that I was observing that most of you have a very narrow, specific, classic understanding and communication of what the gospel is, and it typically surrounds the concept of salvation. Now, that's not wrong, but as you can see by those clips and the reading in some of my comments, that the gospel involves so much more than that. And I want you guys to start to think outside of just our cultural and our kind of traditional ways that we've communicated certain things, and to be aware of how things have kind of shifted over time. In our day and age, when someone says, was it a clear gospel message, it's almost always talking about salvation. Now, is salvation not a part of the gospel? No, of course it is. But Jesus' message, the gospel of the kingdom, was much more than that, and it's important to be aware of that, and to expose yourself to maybe rethinking how you communicate it. So that's a big element there. Um, some of you guys, when we have questions like what's real life redemption, reconciliation, forgiveness, and things, some of you guys give some really generic answers, as if like you could answer that in one sentence and it would be enough. Take your time and give us some examples, and use it as a time to be able to reflect on things that have happened in your life, and enjoy it, and enjoy reading other people's. So I want you guys, when you have questions like that aren't necessarily doctrine related questions, to still take a good chunk of time to do that, and spend time on those. Do you believe your salvation can be lost? I posted that clip by Greg Boyd to show you kind of the two different kind of motivations behind how to answer that question. Now, Jesus and what he accomplished at Calvary, can that be lost? Can that finished work of salvation be lost? No. But usually that's not what people are really getting at, depending on how they're framing that question. What I wanted you guys to start to see is the context of the question means a lot. Usually when someone is talking about, hey, a friend of mine who I went to camp with when I was 12, and we cried together and got baptized together, and loved Jesus together. Now all of a sudden the person's in college and not walking with Jesus and doesn't look anything like a Christian, and I wonder if this person is even saved, or were they saved? Did they lose their salvation? All those things. That's a different context, right? So it's important to kind of understand that, and then to be finding your answers from Scripture based on an awareness of the context that you're asking those questions under. So I hope that started to help you guys. If you're looking for just pat answers, it's not always that easy, is it? So if anyone wants to ask me anything directly, call me, email me. I'm happy to process those things more. Um, Now, this week, the question, what does your church look like? In what ways is your church organized and governed? What are the strengths and weaknesses of that approach? What do you believe to be the significance of baptism and the Lord's Supper? How can the church best minister to the world? What's your church doing? Big questions. So, again, put a lot of effort into this, and I'm going to be a little bit more strict than I have been so far on these last couple posts that you have in this class. So, again, take a good chunk of time as you do that. Think through something like this. We're a democratic country. We like to vote on everything, and typically our churches, the members, vote on a lot of things. Is that biblical? Is that the biblical model? And does that make it wrong if it's not the biblical model, but that's what we do now? The early church, the members or the Christians of Jerusalem, for instance, they did not vote on things. The elders and the apostles were doing the voting. Um, so that's something to think through. How do we have our churches stay biblical, but also be cultural in terms of careful to not just adapt to the culture as in the culture is forming the church, but that the church is shaping culture and influencing culture, but being sensitive to the culture. So those are things to think through. As you start, I'll interact with you guys and give some follow-up questions. Be sure to answer my follow-up questions, because that's the whole point of these discussions. You're having to interact at least 4 times on top of your original post, which means you should be building on it. And I just don't like it when people ignore my comments. That's all. You guys don't like it either, do you? So that's it for this week on the discussions. I'm going to touch on the exam for this week now. Again, a lot of you guys are acing these things, and then some of you guys seem to be struggling. If you feel like you're struggling, you're not happy with your grade, I need you to email me and ask me what are some extra credit you can do. So I'm going to put the ball in your court. If you're not happy with your grades on these exams, you need to email me and ask for some mercy, and I'll see what I can do. Okay? So this week, the questions. Let me give you some ideas. There's some stuff on Kierkegaard, so make sure to pay attention to him. There's touches on a question on liberal theologians. Barth, Rudolf Bultmann. You're gonna be learning a bit about these guys. So their approach to Scripture, those sorts of things are going to be key in the, again, multiple choice true false type questions. Liberation theology, know about that. The questions of what are the biblical functions of the local church, what are not biblical functions of the local church then. Know about the office of the church, what duties they entail. Schleiermacher, you're going to know about him and the doctrinal affirmations he had. Radical theologians. Know the theological systems that it talks about. Neo-Orthodox theologian. I'm giving you a lot this week. Jürgen Moltmann, a lot of people this week to be aware of. Gustavo Gutierrez and the theological movement associated with him. Alright, I think that's quite a bit to get you going. The types of church government. Yeah, that's a couple questions on the types of church government. Views of baptism. Haha. Held by Catholics, Orthodox, Anglicans, Lutherans, and the Church of Christ. They all hold the same, actually, and there's a question on that. So just be familiar with the different views of baptism and the views of the Lord's Supper. There are going to be a number of questions on that. So like the Roman Catholic view, Reformed view, Memorial view, Lutheran view on those things. And you get those things down, you're going to do great. All right? So have a good week. Enjoy the studies. Bye.